Hey guys, welcome back. Ultimate DJs here from Star Trek Fleet Command, and very, very excited to be sitting with a man that I really, really want to introduce to you guys. This is something absolutely amazing. We've been experiencing this, I guess here a couple of weeks ago. We were telling you guys a lot about it. And actually, you know what? There's no hiding it, right? We're here. We're on the ship. So you guys are seeing us a little bit later, but we are still right in the thick of it. Guys, I'd like to introduce you to JT Waters. He's the cruise director for Star Trek The Cruise 7, and if I'm not mistaken, many more before that, right?
Yes, yeah, Star Trek The Cruise 7. I have been on board for 6 out of the 7. So I joined in 2018. I missed the first year, and but I've been on ever since then, and it has been a trip. It's been a blast. I was so lucky that I was able to be the cruise director for the group on board, Star Trek The Cruise. It's been an unbelievable time.
This cruise has been unlike anything I've ever experienced. And as I mentioned to you off the air, I've never been on a Star Trek cruise. As a matter of fact, I've never even been on a boat. Like, this is my first time on any cruise, so I had no idea what to expect coming in here and just kind of experiencing this. So I guess we kind of start at the beginning. You going all the way back to Star Trek The Cruise 2. You've been here since that time. Tell us a little bit about what has evolved with this cruise. Like, when you're talking about activity planning, the cast and crew that show up, you have a lot to do with a lot of that. And what is it that you're striving for? Like, when we're looking at this cruise this week, if somebody has no idea what this place is about, what would you tell them in 3 minutes or less?
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, first of all, back when this first started and the year before I joined Star Trek The Cruise, there were just about a dozen, maybe a little over that, actors. It was very few, and now, 2024, we've got 30 of them on board. And the ship holds just about 3,000 people. So 30 actors with 3,000 people on board, that's much better than your, say, convention in Las Vegas.
Yeah, as a matter of fact,
people.
you guys call this the unconventional voyage.
Yes.
Because this has, it's meant to provide fans with the vibe of a convention, but this is very, very different.
Absolutely. And it's because, unconventional in the sense that at the end of the day, when the panels are over and the activities are over, everything that's going on, the photos and the autographs, we're all here to enjoy dinner, to go party together. You bump into these actors at the coffee station, on the elevator, and then we're all partying together. We're dancing, we're drinking, we're having a great time. So extremely unconventional.
Yeah, no doubt. You had mentioned some of the shows, like they're working during the day, but at night, like they just want to sit down and have a meal and or go out and have a drink. But some of these shows and stuff that they're putting on, again, for our audience, who a lot of them have no idea what this place is. When you're talking about a show, what are we talking about? Are they doing Star Trek shows here?
Yeah. So on board, and it's a very broad spectrum in terms of what happens on the Royal Theater stage. So these actors come on board and they take their talents that no one even knows about beyond acting, and they take it to the stage, and we kind of let them do what they want. If they have ideas for us, we hear them out, and we make these shows come alive for them. And to give you an example, in the past, we've had Casey Biggs and Armin Shimmerman and Max Grodenchik and some of these other guys come together, and they'll do a Rat Pack show where they all pick up their instruments and they sing. And that's just an example of some of the fun things that they do that you wouldn't see elsewhere. We've had comedy shows with Ethan Phillips. Garrett Wong will put on a comedy show. We do script readings. We do improv script readings. It's all kinds of stuff. And we also, on our end, think some of the things that we program in the production office are the game shows that everyone knows and loves, and they're spin-offs of things like Hollywood Squares or the Marriage Game Show, the Newlywed Game Show, the Match Game. And we put all of these actors on stage, and we have the Star Trek version. So wild things you'd never thought you'd see. If you're a Star Trek fan, it's something that you could really only see on board Star Trek The Cruise.
Some of the stuff that we have seen and some of the stuff that I have observed being a first-time cruiser on Star Trek The Cruise 7 is that we have really gotten to know a lot of this cast outside of the set, outside of their makeup, outside of shooting a Star Trek film or series. As you mentioned, some of them are doing totally different things, comedy and script readings. And So the other night we saw Tawny and Eugene do an improv show. I about died. These guys are so funny, and we think that okay, they're voice actors for a Star Trek show, but gosh, their other projects are fascinating. They're so amazing.
Yeah.
And Denise Crosby, super funny. Her thing last night was just insane. And some of these, if I'm hearing from inside sources, Denise Crosby's was a total happy accident, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Some of these things come together. In the early years, we try them out, but we don't know how things are going to go over. And the beauty of it is when they work, we think, all right, we got a home run. It was a packed house. This thing worked better than we ever thought it would, so we just run with it. And the things that like that, the classics. Everyone's going to come back year after year and want to see that, and maybe the improv is a different episode that they're showing, or they bring in new actors to read. But some of those big classics that have been such a success from day one, yeah, we absolutely keep them in the program and maybe alter a little bit, but that's the fun part about it.
It's been really, really cool, like I mentioned, to see these people outside their element. Robert Picardo the other day was doing a wine tasting.
Mm-hmm.
Armin Shimmerman was reading Shakespeare. Some of this stuff is very, just a very broad array. So when you're talking about guests that come on this cruise, they don't have to be a guest who's 100% diehard into Star Trek. They might like theater. They might like Shakespeare. They might like musicals. John Delancey, tell us a little bit about what John's been doing here.
So yeah, John is from Philadelphia, for those that don't know, and he is a huge advocate for the Curtis Institute of Music. And this was his idea, because John's been sailing with us for many years now. This was his idea. He wanted to bring this extremely talented orchestra on board, and they're in multiple shows throughout the cruise, and they've done the music they have Star Trek music, but for example, LeVar Burton was doing the Reading Rainbow show in the beginning of the cruise, and they were able to learn the music for the Reading Rainbow theme. So
wow.
they've gotten to show their expertise in so many different ways, and gotten to showcase the talent of the Curtis Music Institute. And it's just one of many things that, John Delancey is an example, but we do reach out to the actors. So one of the things we do in the production office is we'll reach out to the actors and say, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do? We know you're a fantastic actor, but what is it you do at home when you're killing time? And for example, Nana Visitor, I love cooking. So I did a cooking demonstration with Nana. They have a tequila tasting with Nana and Denise Crosby today. So we get to know their interests, and then we make sure that we showcase that, and the guests get to experience things that, like I said earlier, they would never see. Anthony Montgomery, he's going to be teaching a karate class at the end of this one. So many different things, and once they know how we run this cruise and that we get all these different fun events out there, they come to us with all these great ideas too. And the fact that the guests are able to see sides of these actors that they would never be able to see is something that makes this cruise in particular extremely special.
Yeah, very unconventional and very intimate, I think is the right word for it. Because as you mentioned, there is just people running around. Speaking of a talent that most people may or may not know, Anthony Rapp, his Broadway background. I saw that show the other night. I was just mind blown. And I never knew that about him. So very, very cool stuff. And if you guys have never looked into this, we're going to give you a couple of reasons today why you should. Because, again, it is a cruise ship, right? We do we always sail on Royal? Again, this is my first year, so I don't know.
Not always Royal. So we have evolved in that sense, too. We were on Norwegian Cruise Line several years ago. When I first started, they were on Norwegian Cruise Line. We've also been on Celebrity Cruise Line. But we chose Royal because Royal Caribbean, the ships are bigger. The venues are the size that we need for our events because we are evolving and we are getting slightly bigger. But I don't think you'll ever see us on one of the monstrosity ships that are, 6,000 people. Mm-hmm. But we do like Royal Caribbean because of the fact that venues are very conducive to the things that we need to do. The other thing we take into consideration is we need the main theater show lounge to be exactly half the capacity of the entire ship
That's
because we
right.
split the ship in two.
Mhm.
And I promise you, every seat in that theater gets filled because these shows are just so high level. So those are the types of things we look for in a ship. We also look very heavily to the pool area. We want to make sure there's a great pool vibe because we throw some killer sail away parties and
Oh, there's been
concerts
fun.
by the pool
Yeah.
too. So those are some of the things we look at. And at the moment, currently, Royal Caribbean really has everything we need. They check all the boxes.
The rooms have been great. The food has been phenomenal. And then that's what you could, I guess, expect from any cruise, right? Because I've told you guys, I don't do a whole lot of cruising. Never, in fact. But the food and the restaurants and all that stuff, that's probably kind of a standard thing. But again, for someone who's never been, for someone who doesn't know, what are some of the amenities of the cruise itself? And in addition to the experience with Star Trek, like, we're talking all your food, right?
Mhm.
Like we're broadcasting right now from a restaurant called the Windjammer. This place is open like 20 hours a day. Like, and there's food. It's like the whole circumference of
Yeah.
the ship just lined up with food. So what are guests looking at when they're looking at the website and seeing the pricing part of that? What all's included if they decided that they wanted to try this out? Is this so much more expensive, like kind of the thought or the rumor might have been?
So here's the deal. It's the best question. And as somebody that's been in the industry my entire career, this is my favorite question to answer. Cruising, especially for those that have never done it before or might be a little nervous or timid, what is that all about? Going out onto a ship in the middle of the ocean? Who would do such a thing? It is the best value ever. It's the best value vacation you could possibly have. And here's why. There are, like you just said, there's restaurants all over the place. Most of them are included in the price of the cruise. So we've got a buffet that goes on forever. We've got a beautiful main dining room that's open for breakfast, lunch, dinner, all included in the price of the cruise. And by the way, they don't cap you. If you want to have 2-3 steaks, 2 lobster tails, you want to have 8 sides of mashed potatoes, do it. We just say, get all your money back through the buffet. If you're not doing so hot in the casino, you can make it all back at the pasta bar or the ice cream bar, the hot dog bar. But yeah, the food goes on forever. It's all included in the price of the cruise, and it is a great value. Now, in addition to like the dining room and the buffet, we have little snack shops. We've got a Starbucks on board, and then there's also specialty restaurants. So for those guests that come on board and they're foodies or they want a little bit more of an elevated experience, they can go to a really great steak and seafood restaurant. They can go to a wonderful Italian restaurant. We have a Japanese hibachi and sushi restaurant on board. So the variety is truly unbelievable. And then, that's just talking about food. So you've got all these amenities. You've got all the events are included in the price of the cruise, the pools, the stateroom, all of this stuff is included. And when you see the price, if you weren't talking with me about this, or think $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, ooh, that's something to wince at. But when you realize what you get, it's truly unbelievable. The value is killer.
Yeah, the Star Trek community likes to travel to cons and not just here. I mean, this being essentially a convention, but in other cities, and you think about the hotel and the food and the transportation and all this stuff. You're creeping up there anyway. Let's talk a little bit about what we can do, and I'd like to direct your attention to the website if I could. And we'll let JT kind of walk us through this. So this is the website. You guys have already announced 2025, right? Like, yes. Star Trek The Cruise 8 is already out there. The dates are on your screen. February 23rd, porting out of Miami this year on Explorer of the Seas,
yes.
which is also a royal ship. Right?
Yes, and very similar to the one we're on right now. So capacity around 3,000 people, and truly the ship can actually hold a little bit more than that, but we don't sell it out to capacity because we also want everyone to be comfortable too. 3,000 is still a lot of people, but in the overall scheme of things and compared to conventions, that's extremely intimate. So yeah, the Explorer of the Seas out of Miami, February 23rd of 2025. And the lineup has been announced. It's, again, another great lineup filled with unbelievable actors. And next year in particular, a special emphasis on celebrating 30 years of Voyager. So we're going to really...
Yeah, you guys take a look at your screen. Captain Catherine Janeway will be here. If I did my research right, she's been on a cruise before.
She has, yes. Yeah. One of the ones I was on. She was
great. And a lot of fun, if I heard. Yeah, so Kate Mulgrew is going to be here. Of course, some of our favorites. Frakes is going to be here. John Delancey will be returning. Denise Crosby, such a delight. But we come down here, and there's a couple of newer names on here as well. Jonathan Del Arco. Borg Hugh, you guys know him in the game. He's one of the most popular characters out there. So we're really excited to have him here. He's been in Picard. He's been in Next Gen. So and then of course you've got some of your legacy characters. Nana will be back. John Delancey will be back. But as you mentioned, a real big focus on the 30th anniversary of Voyager. Jerry Ryan is going to be here. Robert Picardo will be returning. Roxanne Dawson, Ethan Phillips, your burning officer, will be here. Garrett, who's just so awesome and amazing. Tuvok is going to be here. Tim Russ. So a great lineup that you guys have here, and you'll have a chance to bump elbows with these guys.
And that's the best part. That's really what makes this so special. Is we're all just one big happy family on here, bumping into each other all over the place, partying with each other, eating with each other, dancing with each other, swimming in the pool, going on tours. It's just great.
I do also want to point out one of our fan favorites, Celia Rose Gooding, is going to be here. And I can guarantee we're going to hear some melodic amazingness heaven come out of her mouth, right?
No doubt.
Yeah, that's going to happen. So when we talk about switching back, here's some of the value that you guys are going to get. Let's talk about the pricing here for just a second, because as you had mentioned, when you think about everything that's kind of just bundled up into one price, it's really not as terrible as what some people may see. Now, of course, you got the Royal Suite right on top, all right? But don't let that scare you off. It's not $10,000 to get on this cruise, is it?
No. Not nearly. There's all different types of cabin categories, and it truly depends on what type of person you are. You know, for the ones that don't necessarily spend a lot of time in their room, or they think, I just want to sleep in my room and shower, and that's about it. You could go for the inside cabin, something that's smaller, but you don't care because you're out doing stuff anyway.
Yeah, that's Griffin and I have been here. We have spent no time in the room.
Exactly.
We have been out. We came out yesterday at 8 o'clock in the morning. Didn't go to bed till like 3 o'clock last night, which
Absolutely.
is way out of character for me. I'm old, but there's just been so much to do, and it's been so much fun. You don't even actually feel tired, which is probably exactly what you guys are going for.
Sure, absolutely. So yeah, and that's starting it at super reasonable. I mean, for a 7-day voyage, for just under $2,000 for 7 days on a beautiful ship, a luxury ship with all of your best friends, 3,000 of your best friends, and that's another important point I want to make too. Is it's the like-mindedness of a full ship charter is very important, because everyone's here for the same exact reason. You're not timid to talk to anybody. It's very different than your standard cruise. You want to go talk to other people. You want to make new friends, because we're all here for the same reason, and we love chatting about the love we have for Star Trek. So it's just wonderful. And if you're the type of person that wants to get out of that cabin and go enjoy all the shows, all the events, and then just put yourself to bed in that stateroom, then yeah, get on for a couple $1,000s for 7 days of the best time you'll ever have.
Do cruisers, especially some of our audience who may, again, not have heard of this place before, if they wanted to come on, are they dropping that money now? Or is there a window for reservations? How quickly is the ship going to sell out? Is there payment plans? Tell us a little bit about how our audience, if we had 100 people right now say, you know what, we want to come and enjoy Star Trek fandom with everyone who loves Star Trek fandom just like we do. And I've got a story I'd like to share with you about that in just a second ago, or in just a minute. Just amazing like-mindedness here. But tell us a little bit about some of the terms and conditions, if you will.
Yeah, sure, as much as I can. I would rely on the sales team better than myself, but I can tell you that you can pay all at once, but you don't have to. There are payment plans as well, and you can break it up as you need to. One of the things that we hear a lot about too is, a lot of our guests say, well, I can't make that decision until April, July, August, whatever the case is. So if anyone needs to utilize a payment plan, we absolutely help them out with that as well. So you do not have to pay all at one time.
Well, and that's good to know. As a matter of fact, for Star Trek The Cruise 8, taking off February 23rd, right? Did I get the date right? I was trying to remember.
You got it.
Yeah. Yep, there, February 23rd. Guys, cabins go on sale in just a few days. As a matter of fact, March 12th at 10 a.m. Central Time, the staterooms become available to the public to go ahead and reserve and reserve your spot on what is literally kind of a life-changing kind of trek for me. All right, I've had, you guys know I'm a big Trekkie, but this has been a lot of fun, to the point where, like, I want to meet you guys here instead of going to Vegas, instead of going to other places, instead of going to Los Angeles. This is the place.
Yeah.
Like, this is the place. There's so much Trek everywhere. You had mentioned just having friends. One of the things that I have heard many of the cast say is that this ship is full of friends you haven't met yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like you said, everybody has an appreciation for the same properties, the same sci-fi, the same Star Trek. And I heard a young woman yesterday telling me that this is the place she looks forward to going because she can dress up and not be made fun of.
Yes.
You know, Star Trek is a very, very inclusive community, and there's no judgment here. You saw me the other day. I was wearing a Ferengi mask.
Oh,
he
yeah.
was assimilated by the Borg. Tell us a little bit about some of the wilder stuff that you've seen on these, because you've done some wild things too.
I have been in a lack of clothing. I've been in a lot of clothing. It just depends on the night. We have loads of fun theme nights on board, and we've had Salute to Sci-Fi night. We'll have holodeck nights where it's just kind of anything goes. Last night we had our Return to Risa party where there was a lot of lack of clothing on that pool deck out there while everyone was dancing around. And it was a full moon last night. I don't know if you saw that, but anyway, yeah, the costuming is second to none, and it really culminates with Q's costume party is towards
Yes.
the end of the cruise, and that is really, I mean, that's like your second Halloween on board. It's anything goes, and we have a big costume contest at that night. John Delancey, of course, comes and gives his critique. He's very nice. Don't worry. You can kind of do whatever you want, but
Otherwise, we'll just snap you away. Don't worry about it.
it's a big deal, though. It's a lot of fun. Everyone really owns it, and they prepare for these nights. I mean, all year. And it really starts from the day everyone gets on board. We even have a guest makeup artist on board that will do makeup for you. And he's open for like 8 hours a day or something crazy.
I was talking to Tom. I cannot believe how many hours a day he's working. And I saw him last night. He said, dude, this isn't work. He's like,
Yeah.
we love doing the makeup. We love seeing people enjoy the makeup. He's like, we love putting our work out there. And I mean, he was working on you until Griffin until after midnight. We had the whole Ferengi and the Borg thing set up for the last couple of days. And he's very approachable to guests. And it's not prohibitive. There is so many people running around the ship with makeup done by Tom, and he is so approachable and so likable, yet has been the makeup guy for Star Trek for 30 years.
Yeah. Like I said, from day one, everyone is dressed up and everyone has makeup on, and because it's the safe spot and you can really do whatever you want during all 7 days if you truly want to be in costume and in makeup for that long. And next year, by the way, makeup legend Michael Westmore is going to be on board next year as well. Not on the lineup with the
you
cast.
guys getting exclusive information here. All right, let's see what else we can get out of it. All right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I do have a funny bit though for you. So there are some guests that will come to the ship already wearing makeup. They will already be in costume. And one of the things that they do have to do when you board a ship is they have to take your picture.
Yeah.
And we've had security say, we're going to have to tell you to take off the makeup until you get on board, because for security purpose, we need to know what your real face looks like. And
so yesterday we had the Ferengi stuff. They would not let us off the ship. They were like, listen, you can go to Carousel. They're not letting you back on. All right.
Yeah.
So we couldn't get off the ship with all that makeup.
When the government issued photo ID doesn't look like a Klingon, it gets a little, these are some of the issues we have to work through.
If
but
this
it's no
is the
problem.
worst thing we have to worry about, I'd say we're having a pretty good time.
It's
right?
a great time.
Guys, I would like to invite you to visit the website for Star Trek The Cruise. It's very simple. It's StarTrekTheCruise.com, where we are already beginning preparations for Star Trek Cruise 8. All right, next February 2025. When we get back to Cape Canaveral, Florida, thank you, wherever we're going, because I don't even care anymore. Like, I just want to live here forever. Whenever we get back, how much time before you guys have started? Well, clearly you've already announced some of the cast. I mean, do you have downtime, or is it straight on to the next cruise?
It's pretty much straight on to the next cruise. I would say, yeah, we take a week for ourselves to decompress, but this is truly because people will come up to me and say, what do you do for the rest of the year? This is truly a year-round job, programming and planning everything that goes into this 1 7-day period to make this all happen for everybody. Right away, we ask for feedback from everybody. What worked? What didn't work? How can we make things better? What do we do away with? What wasn't, as popular as we wanted? How can we change? And this is really year-round. So we're hitting it hard right after the cruise is over for the most part, relatively soon. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
If and listen, everybody who's watching this knows I like to push for stuff that I'm not allowed to ask for. But if you were able to give us one sneak peek into a piece of content that you're excited about for 2025, something that you already know about, even if it's not super obvious, JT, if you just want to give the audience a nugget before we go, why in one sentence can players and community not miss Star Trek The Cruise 8?
One event that's already been planned?
Maybe. One secret up your sleeve, buddy.
We haven't really started programming and planning for 2025. We won't do that until we get off the ship. But hold on, give me a second to think, because I'm thinking about that cast that's on board, and I know that I know Tim Russ is a musician, a great one.
Oh, okay.
Wink, wink. There might be something there that will put him back on stage in the musical capacity. Let's think about this. I truly hope Connor Trenier wants to drink more bourbon with me, because that's a great tasting.
This is fantastic. So one of the big things that I've heard all over the ship is that there's T-shirts here, guys. I want to have a beer with Connor Trenier. Poor guy. He has had to have had 100 beers by now. The poor guy.
but that's what you're supposed to do on these things.
Okay,
yeah,
got it. I got it.
So let's scroll through that cast one more time. Let me see if I can.
Take a quick peek here.
Let me see if I can't lead you in the correct direction here.
Wilson
see.
Cruz going to be here. He's
Wilson
phenomenal.
Cruz is a
Love
riot.
him.
Yeah, he's great in game shows. He's a lot of fun. Let's see. Garrett is always a blast too. I gotta say, I don't know if we can make this happen yet, but Ethan Phillips performed one of my most favorite stand-up comic shows.
No kidding.
When must have been 2000? It was 18 or 19, and I promise you, I don't know what it is about the way he delivers, but I have never laughed so hard. And even if he doesn't do the full hour again, if I can just get him to join me on stage for a little bit, but I'll tell you what, that guy is a scream if you don't know it.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
Absolute
and you guys
scream.
will be able to watch him as far away as I am from this guy right now. That's another thing that I've noticed, and I know we got to wrap up, but you say these studios and these shows, they're full up. There's not a bad seat in the house.
Correct. Everything's great.
Everywhere that you are, you're within literal feet
Yes.
of people, because there's such a great seating layout that every seat is phenomenal, and every seat feels like front section.
Exactly. Yeah.
Every single one.
When you go to concerts back on land, even some of the giant theaters that are 5,000 people, or if you go to, arenas, this venue, the biggest venue on board, the largest venue on this ship is only about 1,400 seats. That's it. So it is a very intimate show, a very intimate feeling, and it's you really feel like you're right on top of the action. It's very special.
Guys, I don't know that we could really talk about this much more. Now it's time for you to see for yourselves. Visit StarTrekTheCruise.com to book your tickets in only days. Mark the calendar. Take a look, explore the payment options, whatever you need to know. I'll tell you, we'll be back next year. We're very excited. We have met members of our very own gaming community right here on this ship this year with very little notice. Imagine what we can do next year as an entire community to come out here and have a lot of fun. Please make your plans now. JT, thank you so much for the time that you spent with us today.
My pleasure.
And really, at its core, even deeper than that, thank you for this, because a lot of the entertainment, we see you all over the place. This can't be an easy gig. You are bell to bell, morning to night, and beyond.
Yeah.
And we've seen you all over this ship with all of the cast. Thank you for such a wonderfully entertaining week. I am so glad that I came, and I really can't wait to come back.
That's awesome. Well, glad to have you on board. Now we want you on board too. So yeah,
Sounds
everybody,
great.
make sure you book. They do go quickly. The cabin categories go very fast. So if you wanna check this out, I strongly recommend it. If you're a Star Trek fan, this has got to be a bucket list item. It's a very special family we have on Star Trek The Cruise. So make sure you reserve your spot and join us for all the fun. You're not going to want to miss it.
Guys, my name is Ultimate DJs, JT Waters from Star Trek The Cruise. We're waiting on you. We'll see you next time. Live long and prosper, Commanders.